Good afternoon, everyone. This is Srikant Rangar, and I'm here to give you the faculty development program of 1 week for effective use of Moodle for NAAC and NBA. So let us start with this. Oh, come on. Slideshow. Yep. Let me quickly introduce myself. I am a passionate educator with an undergraduate degree, that is, I have completed my mechanical engineering from Gulbarga, that is in Karnataka. College name is PDA College of Engineering, and after that I have joined my specialization in advanced manufacturing systems that I have done from JNTU Hyderabad, and I'm the head of CADIMate, which is aimed at guiding the current technology with the past wisdom for a better future. This is what we are trying to do. Okay, so let's go ahead for the next one. So here we all are here to talk about Moodle. So let's understand what Moodle actually is. The Moodle is a short form for a modular object-oriented dynamic learning environment. That's the full form for the word Moodle, and as the name itself implies, this is a modular software, which means module means it consists of a lot of different pieces or parts which fit together like a puzzle in order to become a complete software. And it has a lot of different features which are useful to both educators and for students for better learning, much better learning than what is possible with offline tools and classic methods of teaching. So next, let me quickly go through some of the terminologies that we'll be using throughout this faculty development program. So first one is the object or outcome based education, that is OBE. Now in the traditional way of teaching, the focus used to be on teacher and the syllabus, and how the syllabus was taught was given lesser importance. But with time we realize that this traditional method of teaching is not very useful for the students, especially when it comes to engineering. We are supposed to make students and graduates who are able to not only face the problems and challenges of the future, but they are also able to provide viable solutions to all these challenges. And hence there is a very big requirement, there is a great requirement for us to make a shift in the education system. And in the outcome based education system, that's what happens. The focus, which was earlier on teacher and syllabus, is now going to shift onto the students and their learning. So we are not focusing on what the syllabus is or how limited it is, but on how we are implementing this or how we are communicating this knowledge to the students, and how we are changing the outcome of the students. So what was it that the students didn't know, they weren't able to do before undergoing this education, and what it is that they are able to do after completing the education. So that is what is the focus of OBE. Next, let me just quickly go through Bloom's taxonomy levels. This is the next thing we'll be using a lot. So Bloom was a scientist from the West, and he did some analysis, detailed research on knowledge and how it needs to be transferred to the students, and he found some taxonomy levels, and these taxonomy levels we'll be using again and again. So I'll just quickly go through the meaning of these. Of course, a lot of you are professors here, and you might be knowing a lot more, but just for those who are new, I'll just repeat this, and after this straight away we'll go for Moodle. So remember is the ability of a student to recall what he has learned or studied, or what he has been taught in the class, whereas just remember level is not enough. The student also has to understand what he has been told. So this is the next level of Bloom's taxonomy. So if a student remembers a thing, only then there is a possibility for him to understand that thing. So every next level is dependent on the previous level. This is what we need to understand. So many times whenever we are formulating our course outcomes, we need to formulate it based on what level of Bloom's taxonomy we are planning it. So if you are planning something at just remember level, that means we just want the students to mug up the things, the notes that we have provided them, and they should be able to represent it, reproduce it in the examinations just the way it has been told to them. Whereas when we come to understand, we may ask the student what the sentence, each sentence of the notes given what is the meaning of those sentences. That's what, if the student is able to understand, explain, then we can say that he has reached the next level, that is understand. And then after understand, we have the next level called apply. So this is where the student is able to use what he has understood in order to apply that concept to a practical scenario or situation in order to explain what's happening over there, or how to control the environment for our own benefit. So these three levels is what our traditional method of teaching was focused on. And even if it was the best possible teachers with best possible syllabus with best possible resources, it was still limited to the first three levels at all itself. The other three levels, that is the analyze, evaluate and create levels, these are higher levels of Bloom's taxonomy, and it's very difficult for us to test these abilities of the students, these higher abilities of the students, within the time frame of 3 hours that we have provided in the examinations. So we need new other methods of providing the students with assignments in order to test these higher levels. And I feel that Moodle will help us in order to cover the basic lower levels of Bloom's taxonomy in a very easy format, and also it will enable us to have enough time in order to plan and implement the higher levels of Bloom's taxonomy. So let's go ahead and check that out. So a quick comparison between the traditional and the newer methods. So traditional or offline method of teaching, it is static. That means it doesn't have life of its own. It is what it is when it was made in the beginning. So static tests will be there, notes will be there, and everything remains just the fixed. Whereas in Moodle, it can be dynamic. We can find out the mistakes, or we can find better ways of defining stuff. We can simplify the words, replace difficult words with easy words, and also individual care is possible around here, because each student will be solving the assignments at his own pace, and by looking at where he has gone wrong, we can provide him with individual care here. When it comes to space and time, for traditional method, it is limited to classroom and the time of the period, whereas Moodle is anywhere 24/7. The student just needs to log in to his Moodle ID, and he will be able to access notes, and he'll be able to solve a few quizzes, and he can review his mistakes and understand what mistakes he did. Thus his learning becomes much more widespread, not only in space but also in time. When I say feedback cycles, I mean the feedback given to the student based on the examinations that he is attempting. So we have here in BTech 2 internal examinations, and some of the faculties will not even share the outcome, or the papers will not be shared to the students as well. Whereas when it comes to Moodle, we can just make the quizzes online, and if their quizzes are self-evaluated, the students will have access to these quizzes 24/7. Anytime he wants to review the attempt he has made in the quiz, he can just log into Moodle and check them up. Then coming to every time we have to start from scratch when it comes to traditional or offline teaching, whereas when it comes to Moodle, we can start building it on top of what we have already done. So when I say start from scratch, I mean, if you are writing the notes manually, we can just we are writing it with pen. Then if you want some additional information to be stuffed into a place on the page, then it becomes very difficult. Whereas with Moodle, because it's virtual, we can go on adding the contents in the middle, the other contents keeps sliding down, and that's what is very good. Then traditional or offline method of teaching is individual. It's dependent on individual educator. So it depends on the skills of the individual educator. It is limited by the skills of individual educator. Whereas when it comes to Moodle, we have a possibility of collaborating with our colleagues. We can make a team of good teachers, and every teacher can provide his own specialization, his own way, his own perspective. He can add his own perspective to the Moodle site. So that's what is the thing. Then effectiveness, it just is limited to educator, whereas here when it comes to Moodle, effectiveness is much more than educators. Fine. So this was the quick recap of what are the differences between using the traditional method and Moodle or online. Actually, I didn't get enough time to prepare on NBA and NAAC, but I have sufficient data over here, which I think I'll be able to share with you all. Just give me yes, just a minute, it's loading up. Yep. So here I have listed all the program outcomes. Now, program outcomes are decided by the university which we are affiliated to, and if you see here, we have a total of 12 program outcomes which was provided by AICTE, and these program outcomes are used as a guideline in order to develop whatever course material or programs that we are talking about. When I say a program, it refers to a complete degree like BTech or MTech, and when I say a course, it refers to a particular subject in a particular semester that we are planning about. Let us quickly understand what are these program outcomes. So first one refers to the engineering knowledge, then second is about problem solving, and you can see the statements of these program outcomes on the right side here. Then we have a third one, which is they are taking up design development of solutions, and we have conduct of investigations of the complex problems. Then we have modern tool usage. So this is the program outcome that we will be targeting when we are using the Moodle software, because we are teaching the students to use modern tools of education in order to learn it much faster. Then we have PO6, engineering and society, environment and sustainability, ethics. So this is another part which we can take up when it comes to Moodle. So we can tell the students to submit original assignments which they have themselves worked upon and not copied it from other places. So for this we can use options like plagiarism and other stuff, and this will be very useful when it comes to checking whether the students have been ethical in submitting their assignments. Individual and teamwork is another part which we can take up in a very good format around here. There are options in Moodle to give the students group assignments, and there is an option to provide them with workshops, and these will check how good the students are able to work as a team. wherein each student provides his best to the whole group, and we can check what is the output of the group as a whole. Communication, project management, and lifelong learning, we can just leave it. So basically we'll be focusing on these things. So of course the first four will definitely be touching them, because every course has to touch at least two of the first four program outcomes. Modern tool usage is specifically related to Moodle. Then ethics and group work. These are the three program outcomes that we can target specifically when we are using Moodle for this development. So let's go ahead and see what Moodle offers us. So let me just quickly open the Moodle site for our college, and this is the introductory class. So I'll be basically talking about how the navigation around the site, what is Moodle, what are the different features, and what are the different parts of this particular website, and how we can use it. So in order to make viewing this on the screen easy on the eyes, I have applied a dark background, because white background doesn't allow me to stare at screen for a long time, because there are gamma rays coming out from the screen, and that's not good for eyes. And many of you as well may be having this particular problem. So this particular extension, which is available for Chrome, you can install it, and this will make the screen background of the screen will become dark, and you can work on the screen for a longer period of time. So for reference purpose, I'll be using this particular course, which is a course of engineering graphics. Every student in engineering should pass this particular subject in the first year of graduation, and this is the course I have been building upon since the past 1 year, and I think this is this will work as a very good starting point for us to get a good introduction what Moodle site is. So when it loads, you can see this is how the course appears to us, and the format that I have used for this particular course is topic wise format. So you can see for each topic I have made a separate topic, and inside each topic there are again different activities that you can see around here. So in the general activity, which is common for every course, so I have provided a book here. The book consists of a number of pages in which data about the course can be provided. So any particular topic that you want to provide notes for to the student, we can provide that using this mode. So you can see this first page is talking about the purpose of this course, what this course is trying to achieve, what outcomes we are expecting the students to achieve after having gone through this. Of course, it makes mention of Bloom's taxonomy levels, and at this point of time I have okay, so this is how it will appear to the students. The next page is about how to use this course. Right, a lot of students will be new to the Moodle course, so it's very important for us to make them comfortable in using the particular site. So in order to do that, I have provided this course, this page, wherein I have given them an idea. I've tried to describe an idea of wherein how the Moodle course can be used. So we have all the definitions stored in an activity called glossary, and every term from the glossary, wherever it repeats, will be automatically connected to the definition. For example, this particular word definition has been defined over there. So when I click on that, it will directly take me to the definitions. Of course, because we are streaming it live, so probably it's taking up a lot of bandwidth and the site is running a bit slow. Usually it loads much faster. So anyway, all right, so this is called as glossary. A glossary consists of a term and its definitions. Fine. So all these we can put into the glossary, and wherever the term repeats anywhere around our site, not just in a notes or in the quiz, but also when the students are doing chat, even in the chat, if that particular term appears, that will be automatically linked with its definitions. So when we click on that linked word, it opens up showing that definition. Because again, it's loading very slowly. Okay, so you can see here it is loading the shape of the keyboard to show them what a keyboard is. So some of the students who are coming to us, they don't even have any knowledge about computer as well. So we'll have to start from the very basic thing and tell them about what a computer is, what is a keyboard, what is a mouse, what are the different buttons on the keyboard and mouse, what each device, what is the function of each button on the keyboard and mouse, and so on and so forth. So we can go to as depth as possible, to as basic a stuff as possible, as well as to as advanced stuff as we want it. So both the lowest and the highest are possible to achieve here in Moodle. We can just go on updating it depending on the feedback obtained from the students. So we have already covered about this. So About the Course is a book which provides the students with an idea about what to expect from this course. Then we can add forums where we can do all the announcements about tests, or final deadline for submitting something, or as soon as we add a new content to the Moodle, we can make an announcement about that here. As soon as we create a new quiz for the students to answer, we can make an announcement here, and these announcements will reach students, and they can go ahead and take the correct action to complete it in time. Forum for students, whereas assignments are kind of forum in which only faculty or the teachers can post. Student discussion forums are a kind of forum wherein students can also create pages. They can discuss questions, they can ask questions, and these questions can be replied to by other students as well as the teacher. So this makes Moodle a very interactive kind of a thing. So students are already aware of a lot of media platforms like Facebook, LinkedIn, or there are lots of other social networks. So this is kind of a social network which we are making here in Moodle. And the special thing about this is, of course, it is connected to all the definitions. So wherever the definition terms are appearing in the discussion, that as well is getting automatically linked to the definitions. This is the glossary part, which I have already talked about over here. If you want to add a new glossary, we'll have to enable the edit mode, and we can add it over here. And this here is a demo quiz which I had designed in order to make the students comfortable with all the different question types. So let me just open it. It's taking some time, so let us keep it aside here till it loads. As soon as it loads, I'll just go ahead and give you a brief idea about what it is. Then after quiz, I have something called assignment. So assignment is the place where students can upload their files. So if they have solved the assignment manually by writing them down on a paper, they can scan that paper, convert this into a PDF, and upload it over here. Whereas quizzes are most of the times self-evaluated, which means as soon as the students answer the quiz, their marks will get recorded. It's up to us whether we want to issue the marks to the students as soon as it is done or not, but that's of course up to us to decide. So then there is a next topic called AutoCAD. Again, in AutoCAD I have a glossary for AutoCAD commands. All the commands have been presented over here. Then I have some quizzes wherein the abilities of students to understand the interface has been checked. Let me quickly come here to the demo quiz. So you can see here the demo quiz is designed to give us an idea, to give the students an idea about all the different types of questions that Moodle has. So again, it's taking a lot of time to load. So meanwhile, let me talk about the other things. Like here on the right side, what we see is a block. So all these are called blocks, and here at the top I have kept the course completion status. Fine. So any student who logs in here will see how many tests he has completed and what is the level of his completion. When we are in edit mode, we have an option of adding the different blocks. Fine. Okay, so this is still loading. Okay. Okay, so while it loads, let's discuss about the rules. So Moodle has different rules, and each role has different uh, different abilities, or no, they can control different parts of the Moodle course. So first at the top is the administrator. The work of an administrator is to create the courses, add the competencies, add the competency frameworks. Competency frameworks are, they can be used to target specific course outcomes, or COs as we call them when we are in NBA and NAAC. So we can create, after elaborate discussions, a competency framework and then make them available to all the teachers who are logged into the Moodle course. And then each teacher can take up a particular competency from the framework and design some quizzes and other activities to verify whether the student has reached that course outcome. Then the administrator can also add and remove teachers as well as students. So all these functions are carried out by the administrator. So if the student forgets his password, he has to come back to administrator for removing or resetting the password. And if a new course needs to be created, they have to of course contact administrator. If a new set of competency frameworks need to be added, of course administrator is the person we have to go to. And all these functions are carried out by the administrator. The next level is teacher. So teacher is responsible for adding all the content to the courses. So teacher can add notes, they can create question banks from which quizzes can be generated. The quizzes can be consisting of fixed questions each attempt, wherein each attempt contains the same questions. It can consist of randomly chosen questions from a question bank. It can consist of assignments, and the teacher can monitor the progress of the students, how much the student has scored, and the teacher can also review each attempt of every student. Fine. And find out where the student is making mistake. And if a lot of students are making mistake in the same quiz, in the same question, the teacher can later take this up in the regular class and try to clear those doubts. Finally, we have students. So these are the three roles that are very, very important, and which person has what role to play is mostly decided by the administrator. And teacher and students are the one who are taking part in learning and teaching. जी मैम. Okay, so apart from these three, which are the most important for us when it comes to handling the courses on Moodle, there are some other options provided by the Moodle. The manager is someone who can not only add and remove the users but also can decide a lot of stuff for the Moodle. And course creator is a person with an ability to create courses and add different faculties and students to that particular course. Teacher is of course a person who can add whatever material contents he or she can add to a particular course to which he has been added as a teacher. And then non-editing teacher, even though he can see the grades of all the different students, but this person will not be able to make any changes to the contents of the course. Student will just be able to attempt the quizzes and has no ability to change the course the course on Moodle in any way. Guests can just come in, they can just watch the notes which are available in the particular course, but they cannot open any of the quizzes and the questions they will not be able to access. Authenticated users are people who have a Moodle ID and password. That's it. Whether they may be added to a different course or they may not even be added to any of the courses as well. So an authenticated user is having a Moodle ID and password. He can log into the Moodle site, and that's the only thing. So all the above people have to be authenticated users. All the above these people can take up a guest way of viewing it stuff. All the roles which are above the student have all the things that the student can do plus a little more. So that's how it does. Fine. So as we come down and down, the level of access for editing or the different editing rights that we have will go on becoming lesser and lesser. So this is about the rules. Let's go back and check the load. Yeah, so you can see here the demo test has loaded, and here we have access to the questions. Oh god, I don't know, this is very slow today. It was running much better before, but it has gone up this. Anyway, so we have different kinds of questions here. God. So okay, new preview. I think that's the best we can do. Yeah, so this particular question type is called drag and drop the markers. And this particular question, I wanted the students to recall what are the different parts of the AutoCAD window. For example, polar toggle, the polar option toggle is present here at the bottom. So what the students have to do is move this top left circle to the right spot. So how to close AutoCAD? So for closing AutoCAD, they'll have to come and click on this cross mark. So this way we can create all these different titles, and the students would have to drag and drop these titles, the drag and drop these markers, which is the left top circle, to the right spot. If they're dropping it to the correct area, then they will be given marks. If they're not dropping it to the correct area, if they're dropping it somewhere else, then their marks will be cut. I'm sorry, today the internet seems to be in a bad mood and it's not functioning as we expected. Okay. Right. So let's review. Okay, it has picked up a little speed. Hope. Okay. So this quiz, my aim is to let you know about the different question types that are available in Moodle. Right. So this particular question is called drag and drop text. The text boxes will be provided at the bottom and the students can drag and drop these into the relevant places. So if they are dragging and dropping it at the wrong place, then the marks will be cut for them. If they are doing it correctly, then marks will be given to them. So one set of boxes cannot be dragged into the other one. So there are three groups here. First group boxes can be dragged into first group alone. Second group objects can be dragged into second group alone, and we can continue to make as many groups as we want. Of course, in the future coming days, I'll be talking about how to create these questions using the Moodle interface, and also we are working on a code generator which will automatically generate an uploadable code which we can edit in offline situation, and what the generated code can be copied and pasted into a notepad, and that notepad, when you upload it, it will generate all these questions. So this was the first question, and coming here to the second one, this is not very important. Let's go to third. So here this is the drag and drop thing which we had talked about, so that students can easily understand, because this is the first attempt they will be doing for any Moodle quiz. I have provided these as very easy options. So yellow can be dragged to yellow, green can be dragged to green, and so on. So when it comes to actual course material, we can change these tags. Instead of colors, we can just put the actual name of the different linkages. For example, this question is from kinematics of machines, and we can ask the students to drag and drop this over to the different parts. Whereas the red one is actually called a crank, the yellow one is the base or the frame, the green one is the slider, and the pink one is called as a coupler. So instead of red, blue, green, and other stuff, we can put those names, and the students will be required to drag and drop it to the relevant places. Next question. So this is a multiple response kind of a question, wherein multiple options can be correct. Instead of just a single option, multiple options can be correct, and based on how many answers they are how many the correct answers they are marking, they will get the answer. As soon as they choose one wrong answer, accordingly a part of the marks will be deducted for them. Next question, let's see what we have there. Again, the Moodle is becoming very slow. Right, so this particular question is called close type of question, wherein different questions are present in embedded format. Okay, so at the beginning we can provide them with some data, and based on that data we can ask them number of different types of questions. So here you can see this is a question from drag and drop type, wherein only one option is correct among all the wrong answers. This is also the same. Instead of having a drop down, we are having them listed here, so the students can see all of them at once and select the correct option. Multiple choice horizontal, so instead of arranging this in vertical order, this is arranged horizontal. And we have multiple response. Again, here more than one option can be correct. Here the same question has been arranged in horizontal format. Again, you can see multiple options can be correct among the wrong options. And then we can also have some calculated results. So based on the data that is provided to us, like A, B, C values, the students would need to use these values to do the calculations and put the results here. So for example, A and B are 4 and 3, so 4 plus 3 is 7 here. So the first result here is 7. We also have an option to define a tolerance range within which if the answer lies, it will be accepted as correct. And if the answer lies beyond that error, we can deduct either partial or full marks. The total control will be in our hands only. So like that, we can add a number of different options over here. The next question type. Okay, it's very slow today. So we still have around 15 minutes. I hope the internet picks up the speed. Okay, so this type question we have already seen. This is a drag and drop image kind of a question, where an image from the bottom needs to be dragged and dropped into the image at the top. So there are again two groups here. So the top group can be dragged and dropped into the top group, and the bottom group can be dragged and dropped into the bottom group. There is a whole interface present in Moodle for editing these kinds of questions. We'll talk more about these in the coming classes. So today's aim for me is to just let you know about the different features available in Moodle so that you are comfortable in using the Moodle. Okay. It's taking time to load. Yeah, that is loaded. Then this question here, it's finding area of rectangle. So this question is called a numerical kind of question. We can see the length and breadth has been provided to us. Now Moodle has an option to randomly create as many inputs as you want. So every student will get a different value of length and a different value of breadth. The student has to use these values in order to calculate the result, and the result the student has to put in here. Once again, if the result is within acceptable limits, if it is having less enough error, he will be given full marks, or else a few marks will be deducted from them. Then this is a fill in the blanks kind of a question, wherein students need to type in the answer. And next question type is missing words. Students can choose options over here like this. Fine. So fill in the blanks kind of a question we can provide with options to choose from. The next question. Okay, so this is a true or false kind of a question wherein only two options are there. We can provide them with a statement or something and ask them whether it is true or not. In this case, of course, we definitely become an engineer, so it's true. Then okay, so this is a match the following type of a question, wherein you can see the left side has been randomized. Each student will get the left column in a different order, so that they cannot just copy, even if they have gestures available to them to talk to each other. So the students have to choose the right option, the right column compared to the left one. Then the last question. Okay, so this is a single MCQ type of question wherein we can provide them with a number of options. Among them, only one option is correct. Now all these questions that we just now talked about, all of these are self-evaluated or automatically evaluated. You can see there is a time limit which we had kept here. So as soon as the time limit is over, the questions automatically get submitted. The questions automatically get submitted, and if the student is finishing the quiz before the time, he can just go ahead to finish the attempt and submit all the questions. So this page provides them, before submission, the page provides them with look at how many questions they have answered already, how many they have not answered, how many they have partially answered, and all these things, so that students can go back to the question by clicking on this links to that particular question and complete it. Once they have finished all of them, they can submit all and finish. So when the students finish doing this assignment, they'll get the grade. Grade is always counted out of 10, and they will get a separate marks will be separate. The quiz was for total 28 marks. Out of 28 marks, I was able to score 15.8. And on the right side, you can see I'm provided with an option to see which questions I didn't answer, which are shown in red, which questions I have done completely correct, which are shown in green and a tick mark, and which questions I was able to do partially correct, which are shown here like this in orange. So this view which the student are getting at the moment is called as a review mode. So in the review mode, students can see which questions they answered correctly, which questions they were not able to answer correctly. If they were not able to answer correctly, we can choose definite feedback to be given to the students, so that students can understand their mistake from this feedback, and next time they're giving the quiz, they will not make this mistake. So this was about the quiz. So coming back to our course. Okay. So we have talked about all the different activities that we can add, the different topics, and the blocks, and the quizzes and notes. So let's go ahead and see what are the options available to the teachers for checking up the development of the students, how the students are progressing, making the progress. So if, let us say, the teacher wants to see the list of all the participants, the teacher can just click on participants, and the full list of participants will appear over here. You can see the name of the student, mail ID, the role of the student, the groups. If we have made a group, it will show us the groups. If there are no groups made, then this option will not be present. And then we also get an access to the information which tells us how long back they had signed into the Moodle course. So you can see a lot of students had signed in very recently. Some of the students have not signed in for 1 or 2 days. Some of the lazy ones, we can find out which students are lazy and who is not accessing the course frequently enough through this point. And we have option of looking at the grades. So grades shows us a complete report about how many marks each student has obtained. So if I open that here, we can see on the right side we are getting course total grades. So it is adding up all the grades of the different quizzes that I have provided here. So if we look here, there are lots and lots of quizzes that I have provided in every topic. So let me just expand all of them. And when you expand, you can see this is a quiz, fine. So quiz, all these are quizzes. And each of these quizzes have been placed in a gamified format in the increasing order of the Bloom's taxonomy, so that only when they clear the lower level of Bloom's taxonomy, the next level will unlock. Fine. So marks for all these will appear here in the grades. So these are the total marks which we are getting over here. We have also an option of arranging it in increasing or decreasing order in order to check the students who have scored minimum marks. We can follow up with these students to find out what the problem is, whether it is that they don't have a mobile phone, or they don't have access to a system or internet, or they're not interested in the subject, or whatever it is, whatever the problem is that the student is having. So we can find the problem out and try to provide them with a convenient solution. We can also find out which students have scored maximum number of marks. If we arrange this in a descending order, we can see what is which student has scored maximum number of marks. So starting 2 or 3 students, if we highlight their names in the class every time whenever we have a class, then this will work as an encouragement for all of the students, and they will also start taking these Moodle quizzes more seriously, more passion and more encouragement. If we want to see detailed marks for every quiz, we just have to click on this plus sign, and this will expand the columns to show us marks of every quiz for every student. Fine. So here you can see marks for all these quizzes are available. If I scroll to the right, okay, all right, escape. So this is actually a very big grade book. Lots of questions have been added, and okay, if we move right, you can see at the top the quiz is present and we are getting marks for every student. We can slide as right or as left as we want, and we will continue to see how many quizzes they have answered, how many quizzes they have not answered. If they're not answered, it will just appear as blank. If they've answered, it will show up as with marks. You can see whether a student has obtained high enough marks. If the student has not obtained high enough marks, we can go ahead and check it out. We can just click on this plus sign, which opens the grade analysis, wherein we can see the reviews of the student. You can see that these are the questions which this particular student has not answered incorrectly. We can go to that place and see what happened. So student has chosen all height, width and length. Okay, so if those who are teaching engineering graphics, they might know only 2 of these are visible in any given view, any standard view at any point of time. So we can just go ahead and explain this topic up later in the class if we want to. The same way we can check out the individual responses of each student. So this is about the gradebook. Then we have an option to view the reports. The reports give us information about activity completion, which means how many of the activities they have completed already. We can see activity report or live logs, how many times the student has opened different quizzes, how many times they have logged in, what are the different times, how much percentage of time they have spent in different activities, and all these reports can be generated from over here. We can also have access to custom reports that we can generate. So this one here is activity completion report. So here the blue tick marks, they're showing activities which are other than quizzes. Green tick marks are showing the activities which are quizzes, and the solid square are the kind of activities which the students can mark manually as complete or incomplete, whereas the dotted squares are those activities which will be automatically marked completed if they are satisfying a few set rules. So for example, for a quiz, minimum 50 to 60% marks they need to obtain in order to pass it. So that's what that is the criteria based on which cross mark will appear if the student has not passed that with the minimum required marks, and a green tick mark will appear if the student has passed it with the required marks. So this also gives us a very good idea about the coverage of the quizzes by the students. And finally, for ending, let me show you how we can do analysis of the questions in the question bank as well. So inside the course, okay, inside the course, if we go all the way to the top, and if we go click on more, we have an option for question bank. So when we go inside the question bank, this is where all the questions that we have created for the quizzes will appear. Now I don't know how much time it will take load up because question bank is already heavy. For this particular course alone, I have added more than 2000 different questions for all the topics combined, and that's the reason it's actually taking a long time to load up. Usually it doesn't take this much time, but probably today we are using it using the stream. Live stream is happening on YouTube, and maybe some downloads are happening in the background as well, because of which the internet is very slow. Okay, it's taking a long time. Come on, load up. Okay. Fine, so it's taking much longer than expected. So meanwhile, let me just explain to you how we will cover the different topics in the coming 5 days. So the next day, which is tomorrow, will be taking up the phase 0 of using the Moodle. Now, what do I mean by phase 0? Phase 0, it's a phase wherein we are just shifting our traditional teaching to Moodle, and we are not particular about using all the advanced activities of the Moodle, because many of the teachers will also not be aware of the different Moodle activities, and Moodle might appear very complex for some of the teachers to use in the beginning. So in phase 0, we'll be talking about the ways in which these technology challenged faculties can start using the Moodle. So basically what we'll be doing is we'll just be shifting our traditional teaching methods onto Moodle. So if we have created notes, we'll be making a PDF of that. If we have made PPT, PowerPoint presentations, or other kind of material which are available in the form of a file on a computer, we can upload these files to our Moodle course, and the same can be made available to the students. So we'll be talking about creating the IDs of the students, enrolling the students to a particular course, and adding the contents from our traditional or classical teaching. Those files, we'll learn how to add them onto the Moodle. And we will also learn about creating assignments wherein the students can manually write these assignments down on the paper and then scan them into a PDF and then upload these PDF onto the Moodle. So this is what we will cover in phase 0. Then in the next day, that is day after tomorrow, we'll shift to phase 1, wherein we will learn how to create automatically evaluated quizzes. We will learn how to add questions to the question banks, how to create quizzes using these question banks. We'll learn about the different types of questions and how we can use feedback mechanism to make answering the quizzes interactive as well as more interesting. In fact, quizzes can be used as one of the methods of learning, of the effective learning by the students. We'll learn about that as well. And then we'll also be learning about the different settings available in the in the quizzes and all about that. On the day 4, we will shift our focus onto a little more interactivity on the Moodle, wherein we'll learn how to create notes which are directly typed onto the Moodle and not actually manually written down, because these notes which are typed onto the Moodle have a lot more usability when it comes to Moodle. It makes the notes a lot more useful, a lot more interactive, because we'll be making notes and we'll be interconnecting them with the definitions from glossaries. So both this stuff we will learn on the day 4, along with creating extra content for the Moodle, like videos or putting equations, handling calendars, creating forums, announcements, and all other activities using advanced way of ensuring that whether the student has gone through the notes or YouTube videos, like H5P. It's a special type of coding which utilizes advanced programming techniques to ensure that the student has gone through different parts of the course. Then on the day 5th, we'll learn about the other advanced technologies, like what are the other methods other innovative teaching methodologies that can be used for integrating into Moodle. Like as a mechanical engineer, we use CAD software a lot, and we model 3D objects into CAD diagrams, and we show them the 3D models. Students can access these models on their mobiles or on the laptop or whatever device they're using. They can rotate it from different angles, they can watch it from different angles. If there is a section of the solid, they can create the section and see how the section appears from different directions. This gives the students a lot of visual perspective, which otherwise the students face a lot of difficulty in trying to understand. So as electrical, electronics, or any other engineer, you might have your own set of software which you can use to integrate along with the Moodle, and accordingly you can make learning much more innovative, much more interactive, and much more enjoyable for the students. So I think we are up with our time for today, and the question bank took a lot of time for us to load up. Anyway, because it has loaded, I'll just quickly show you how Moodle helps us in checking the quality of the question itself. Like for example, in this question, the needs checking has been told to be unlikely because the question appears to be correct. Fine. So there are two distinct parameters which Moodle is providing us, which gives us a good idea about whether the question is not only correct, but also whether it is checking the ability of the student to correct degree. So first is the facility index, which you can see it gives an average marks as a percentage obtained in the question, all the versions. So higher value normally indicates an easier question. So this value should not be very, very high. If this value is very, very high, that means almost every student is able to answer this question very easily. So a lower value of this means that a lot of students are not answering this correctly, which means that yes, the question is correct. Then the discriminative efficiency, it says it checks whether the so we'll do one thing, we'll just stop it for here today because the time is up. We'll continue our discussion in the next class and take up the other topics. Thank you for all who have attended this. Please ensure that you give your feedback so that the same can be used to mark your attendance for this particular FDP program. So see you all tomorrow. Till then, goodbye.